Hello and welcome to episode 144 of the SiteShed podcast. My name is Matt Jones, and today we're talking about a topic that has been thrown around our Facebook community repeatedly of late. That topic is search engine optimization, and people have been having a few issues and had a lot of questions in relation to this stuff. So I decided to create an entire podcast on it for the benefit of the group and, of course, for the benefit of you listeners out there. Guys, if you're not part of that community, head across to Facebook and join the SiteShed private group. You'll have to fill in a few questions to get into that group, and the lovely Talia will let you in. But it is an amazing community, guys. There's thousands of business owners from all over the world, all contributing, and it really is a super engaged group. So get across there and check it out. Guys, if that is a topic that is of concern to you, or you want to learn a little bit more about it, or more importantly, you want to see how it might apply to your business, you can head across to tradiewebguys.com.au/shed. Now, that page has been put together for you guys, and it's basically a way that we can have a look at what's happening in the business and maybe steer you in the right direction as a result of. So again, that URL is tradiewebguys, TRADIE, web, GUYS.com.au/shed for the SiteShed. That's all from me. Let's jump right in. Well, it's the beginning of a new year, and typically at the beginning of a new year, as business owners, we sit down and we try to map out a success path or a blueprint for our organizations. The reality is, however, as tradies and contractors, many of us are lacking the foundational and fundamental tools that can really form the launchpad for our business. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Tradie Web Guys, and Tradie Web Guys build amazing websites that serve as a business launchpad. Perhaps you need to look more professional, or you need higher conversions from the leads you're currently getting with your marketing. Maybe you need some lead generation yourself, or maybe you need some sort of automation or a way that you can keep in contact regularly with your existing customers and with your leads that may one day turn into potential customers. Maybe you need systems and processes in your business. Tradie Web Guys specializes in all this stuff, and it's specific for tradies and contractors. So head across to tradiewebguys.com.au/shed for the SiteShed, where you can fill in a form and you can claim your free audit valued at $385. Again, that link is Tradie Web Guys, TRADIE, web, WEBGUYS, tradiewebguys.com.au/shed, SHED for the SiteShed. The reality is, folks, if you want 2018 to be any different from 2017, then some things are going to have to change. Don't let 2018 become just another year. Make it the year.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the SiteShed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Toolbox Talks on the SiteShed podcast. My name is Matt Jones, and I am your host today, and we are going to be talking about a topic that has been coming up within our community of late. Quite a lot, actually. There was a pretty in-depth conversation in there, which was in the space of search engine optimization. One of our community members asked, is SEO really required on a monthly basis, and what sort of money should we be paying somebody to do this? And then as a result, a huge thread unfolded. And so to which I was contributing quite heavily. Obviously, we run a digital agency called Tradie Web Guys, and we have a lot of exposure to, I suppose, good and bad experiences when it comes to search engine optimization. And I just wanted to share a few of them with you today, just as I could, recap on a few of the points that we brought up, and then just give you guys a bit of an understanding and a bit of a roadmap of what's important and, where you should be really applying your resources. So, be that financial resources, time resources, education, all that kind of stuff. So if you are interested in this stuff, guys, there's a few other episodes you can go check out, and I'm going to put some links to these within the show notes. So do go across and listen to them, because they are very good podcasts. Episodes 3, 4, and 5 was Understanding SEO with my friend Dave from Melbourne SEO Specialists. Episode 76, again with Dave, was authority content. We spoke about how to create good search engine friendly authority building content. In episode 104, I did a podcast called Revealing SEO Myths. And more recently, in episode 142, I did a podcast with Owen Russell, and we're talking about how to make your business stand out with copywriting. So I'll put some links to that in the show notes, as mentioned, but do go back and check them out because they are quite cool. Okie dokie. So let's dive in here. Now, I suppose what I'd really like to talk about, first of all, is the journey of SEO and where it's come of late. I mean, over the years, SEO, the landscape of SEO has changed quite significantly. And I think, we can get a better understanding of that journey and where it is today as opposed to where it was. I think it will kind of eliminate a lot of mistakes and maybe expectations that you guys might have of, I don't know, maybe services that you might have purchased in the past or things like that. We get a lot of negative feedback when it comes to SEO, but guys, the fundamentals of SEO will stay the same, and it is extremely important, and it's an extremely good tool to understand as well. Although there is a lot of fluff out there in the marketplace, I know, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But I think, guys, if you can really understand the fundamentals and understand the basics of this, it will serve you very well in the long run. So, by definition, if I jump on Wikipedia here, SEO or search engine optimization is the process of affecting the online visibility of a website or a web page in a web search engine's unpaid results. So what that basically means is it's a way that you can apply certain structure to a web page, which will make it show up in a search query. So if somebody's typing something in and you've optimized that page for whatever it is they're looking for, then you've got a chance of showing up in that search result. So that's basically the fundamentals of it. So contrary to search engine optimization would be things like paid advertising. So if you're using Google AdWords, for example, that doesn't depend at all on search engine optimization. That basically there is if you run an ad for a service, say it's block drains or renovations, somebody clicks on it. They click on it because you've paid for the right to be in that position. So it's a little bit different. SEO is more of a holistic, long-term approach. And this is another reason why I say, guys, it is important to understand the fundamentals and employ the strategies and the tactics and I suppose the principles behind search engine optimization with all the content that you create, because it does have a long-term strategy to it. Like there is more of a holistic approach when you're considering the fact that, if you're just running paid ads, then as soon as you stop paying, that content will disappear. However, if you're doing it smart and you're using SEO principles, it will not disappear. So what is it? I mean, what it was. I mean, search engine optimization, as I said before, has been evolving quite a lot over the years. And where back in the day, when it sort of first came on the scene, it was really a matter of, okay, how can I take this article, on my website? How can I cram it full of, say, keywords or key phrases so that it shows up in search queries? And it kind of disregarded, to a large extent, the user experience, and the user, of course, being the person that's going to be reading that article. So over the years, Google's cottoned onto the fact that people were trying to cheat the system. And, there's been many, many updates to the search engines. And in a lot of cases, that has resulted in a lot of people that have effectively lost their search engine optimization ranking, their SEO ranking on with search engines like Google or Bing or Yahoo or whatever it is. The reality is, folks, when in these scenarios that this has been happening, it's usually because the tool or the tactics that have been implemented have been probably not ethical, to say the least. And there's even a term for it now. They call it black hat. So what they say, if you're using sort of shortcuts when it comes to SEO, they call that black hat. And when you're using, you're doing things the right way, they tend to call that white hat. Now, in my experience, there's quite a bit of grey hat as well. And this is something that I suppose doesn't get spoken about a lot. But look, what I want to run through with you guys today, I don't want to confuse you too much, but I just want to give you some basic principles and let you understand, I suppose, some of the problems, and then what you guys can do, what you guys can start doing yourselves when it comes to that whole SEO and content field. So where it used to be, cramming articles full of keywords. Keyword, by the way, folks, if you're not familiar, say, for example, you do home renovations and you live in the Portland, Oregon region. So a keyword may be home renovations Portland, or, first floor additions Portland, or something like that. And so what it is, it's basically a word or a phrase that you can optimize a piece of content for, so that when somebody does search for it online, it's got a chance of showing up. And this will vary, of course, with business to business. It will vary with your services, and it will vary with your location, especially as tradespeople. So over the years, it's morphed into something a lot more. And with with social media entering into the scene and then things like video, the term search engine optimization is really sort of become, it's chalk and cheese from what it was, put it that way. So now there's so many different factors to consider, and so many different factors have an effect on your SEO. For example, video now, like you look at YouTube. So YouTube is the world's second largest search engine. As most of you guys will know, YouTube is owned by Google. And so video is a huge content medium these days. And if you've got a visual product and you're not leveraging video, then it's probably something you should start considering, because video is really taking over the world. Now, the cool thing about video is you can actually optimize video as well. And it becomes then searchable on platforms like YouTube. So that is certainly a one win when it comes to optimizing your content using video, using YouTube. However, the other cool thing about video is you can embed that onto your website, which means that when people go to it, they're likely to click on it. And when people click on a video and watch it, it means they're staying on your website longer and they're staying on that web page longer. And that also is another indicator and another tick for you when it comes to SEO. So there's a lot of little factors there that need to be considered. But the bottom line is, folks, we're going to get to this in a little bit. Like, we're going to talk about the fundamentals and what it all involves. But it's about really getting useful information in front of people that are looking for it. And that's really the bottom line. And then you've got also things, folks, like, your social media and all this kind of stuff. And social media also plays a factor in SEO. So you can really leverage these different platforms to enhance the overall experience that your customers are getting and then the results that you get as a result of. So one of the things that people I find do not do correctly is they do put too many of their eggs into one basket when it comes to these social media platforms and things like that. And they neglect to invest in the platforms that they control. And, for a long time now, we've been trying to educate people on the fact that, with your website, you own and control that. But you don't own and control YouTube, and you don't own and control Facebook, and you don't own and control Pinterest and all these kind of things. So, when you're going down that path of creating content, it is a good habit to get into, to start creating it on your website. And then from there, you can go and syndicate and share it to other avenues, other social channels, or whatever it might be. So the problem really is a lot of these search engine optimization experiences that people are having come as a result of them taking services or, employing somebody that's trying to help them cut corners, or, they're just flat out selling them silly strategies. And, a prime example of this that's gone around in the group recently is, people, buying these services where, it might be, and to be honest with you, like, I run a digital agency, we do websites and we do marketing strategies and all that kind of stuff for trade business owners. And if I don't get 5 emails a day from somebody based out of Mumbai, India, trying to sell me SEO or websites, it's a pretty good day. Like, it's just crazy. And I know you guys are getting the same emails. Like everyone in the group was telling me exactly the same thing. So you just need to be wary, and you need to understand, I suppose, the basics of what, SEO is, so that even if you don't go down the path of doing it yourself, you at least know enough to be dangerous. And we invest heavily in trying to teach you guys these fundamentals, because at the end of the day, a lot of these strategies that people are selling you are really not going to get you any better results. And one of those strategies, for example, is this whole backlinking thing, And don't get me wrong, folks, backlinking is an important part of SEO. However, it's not the fundamental backbone of SEO. And backlinking really refers to getting other websites to link to your content, okay? So there's a lot of companies out there that sell things like this. They sell, we'll get you all these backlinks, and we'll get you front page of, your front page for your keyword. And guys, I would be very, very wary. And to be honest with you, I'd probably run a mile if somebody came to me and said, I'll get you the front page of SEO for your keyword in the next, 6 months or whatever it is. Because chances are, if they're going to be doing that, especially if you're in a highly competitive niche, like a lot of you guys are, especially, plumbing, electrical, building, that kind of thing, it takes longer than 6 months to show on the front page for a lot of these things, guys. So, just be really wary of what people are promising you, because in my experience, if it often sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. So, some of these strategies, they just end up posting some of your homepage to your website to these crazy directories and forums, all over the world that have very little relevance to your industry. They have very little relevance to your services or your, what it is you do. And as a result, it doesn't actually do you any favors. In a lot of cases, it actually does you, has a negative effect. So, you really got to make sure that, people that, the services you adopt, people are doing that, they're actually doing the right thing. Reporting's a big thing. Like, I know a lot of these, there's a lot of like ridiculous reporting that goes around with a lot of these SEO services, inverted commas. It's just important, folks, that you understand, I suppose, like, it's not really about, I suppose, getting, front page results for a lot of things. It's about what's working. And an example of that would be, this happens all the time. And there's probably a lot of you that are listening to this that are going to be able to relate. They'll employ a company that will promise them first page results. They won't be overly specific on the keyword, and they'll rank them for things like the name of the company, which is completely ridiculous because, if you don't know if you don't know that company, then you're not going to be searching for it. So you're never going to show up in search terms. So it's just, there's a lot of stupid things out there, and there's a lot of promises out there which are really, in my opinion, unethical. So you need to kind of just be on top of that. You've got to have an understanding of what you're trying to achieve, where you want to go, and then have like a bit of a roadmap laid out for you, which ties into the reporting you're getting for whatever's being done or supposed to be getting done. You've got to have something that's measurable, I suppose is what I'm saying. How can you judge and how can you, measure what's happening and see these improvements? There's some really cool tools out there. A lot of them are free. You can get Google Analytics on your website and, Webmaster Tools and all these cool things that will help you with your search engine optimization. And you guys should have access to that kind of stuff as well. And although the reporting should be, more than that itself, it does help to be able to get in there and have a look and see what's happened and see what's actually improving in the space of traffic that's being sent to you, or maybe you've posted something to a certain social media channel and you want to see if there's any spikes in your traffic. Like, you can track all that stuff, guys, and you can do it all for nothing. So, not that I want to give you guys another job. I appreciate that you guys are busy doing what you're doing, but if you're investing in something, then surely it makes sense to have some sort of measurable return or some sort of reporting based on it. So the fundamentals. Oh, and one thing I suppose is I didn't talk on there while we're talking about problems is pricing, and people constantly saying, oh, we're being ripped off and this and that. And yeah, for the better part, a lot of you probably are being ripped off, which is why it's important to understand where that money is going and then the results that you're getting. A lot of people pay a lot of money for SEO, and to be honest with you, in my experience, if you want SEO done right, then you will pay a lot of money for it. It's just the way it is. If somebody's going to do something correctly and not cut corners, then I'd be more than happy to pay for that, as opposed to someone that's going to cut corners and potentially have a negative effect on my business and my domain name. So the fundamentals, guys, like when we talk about SEO, as we sort of touched on it before, but at the end of the day, what Google wants is exactly the same as what our customers want. And if you guys can understand that clearly, it will certainly make, I suppose, this whole confusing realm of SEO a lot clearer. Google wants what your customers want, in the sense that, okay, your customers are coming to you because they're looking for information relevant to a pain or something they're interested in, right? Google wants the same thing. Google wants your customers to be able to find information that's relevant to them. So if you've got content that's being created and it's ticking all those boxes, then that is an extremely good starting point. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in all this stuff that we hear on the internet about, get front page this, front page that, blah, blah, blah. Because the bottom line is the fundamental basis of SEO now and forever is going to be focused around content. So it doesn't matter if you've got the best backlinking strategy on the entire planet. At the end of the day, if you don't have good content, then your SEO strategy isn't going to be worth a pinch of shit. So I really encourage you to, instead of focusing so heavily on, all these other things and all these other SEO terms and strategies and whatnot, just start focusing as a starting point on creating good content. And then with that content, employ SEO principles. So one of the things that when we talk about SEO principles, it's really important to, and you'll see this commonly if you go and have a look at anyone that's done content correctly, you'll see that they more often, like in most cases, and I would say 99% of cases, and if you can go through any of, say, the podcasts that we've done at the Site Shed or anything like that, you'll notice that all of the podcasts have a specific topic. So I'm not going to sit here in this podcast and talk to you about search engine optimization, Google AdWords, social media, and all this kind of stuff, because what that does is it gives a mixed message to the listener, which is you guys, and it also gives a mixed message to the search engines when we go through that optimization process. Of course, we can link to other articles that talk about social media or Google AdWords or whatever it might be, but we don't talk specifically about anything more than one topic because we want to deliver a clear message. So this would be the same for you folks out there. Like when you're talking about things that you do, make sure that you are getting granular with one topic and you're talking about it specifically and you're not going too far off track. The principles behind SEO are applicable to all sorts of content that you create. So whether it's your website content, whether it's video, whether it's social media, it could be a mail out, postal mail, it could be an audio of some description, podcast, etc., whatever it is. Those principles will apply. And I really encourage you guys to really start understanding that, don't confuse your message. And when you're delivering content, deliver it in a way that is relevant to, I suppose, one core topic or one core point. If you're talking about home renovations, if you're talking about bathroom renovations, if you're talking about block drains, if you're talking about switchboard installations or whatever it might be, talk about that one topic and talk about it well. Structuring your article is another, or structuring your piece of content is another thing. And I think a lot of people, and what I do when I'm creating content, folks, is I actually draw out a bit of a plan about how I want that article to look or how I want that piece of content to look. And it's not like a super granular map, to be honest. I just like having points that I'm talking about. And I normally try and address the following when I'm creating content: who, what, why, where, when, and how. And if you stick to those principles, that sort of framework, you can't really go too far wrong because you are addressing things that are relevant to, first of all, the listener, like who you really want to be speaking to. You're talking about the topic itself, but you don't want to be overly technical with it. Like you'll notice even in this podcast, although I'm dropping some, I suppose, industry-specific words in there, I'm really trying to keep it on a conversational level that the majority of people will understand, because the reality is, although we spend all day, working with this kind of stuff, I know you guys don't. So, if I'm going to get super technical with all these terms and acronyms and all that kind of stuff, I understand that you guys are going to be sitting on the other end and you're going to be zoning out because you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. But the reality is, folks, that you guys probably do that as well. And it's very easy to get caught up, when you're creating content, get caught up with the technical talk. And, if you're a plumber, for example, nobody understands that, to the clear a block drain, you had to, dig down to the 6-inch BTS so you could get your jetter into the main service line so you could clear down to the boundary trap. Like, people don't understand this stuff, right? You've got to dull it down. You've got to make the way you talk. You've got to make the communication in a language that the majority of people will understand. I always try and create content that my mother would understand. No offense, Mum, if you're listening. But I know that if I can communicate something to her, then then I've done pretty well. No, that was a bit rude. But anyway, you guys understand. It's really about making sure that, it's so easy as business owners, because we deal with things day in, day out. It's so easy for us to get overly technical on things and do have to reel it in sometimes. So if you do have a bit of a map and a roadmap of how your content piece will look, it does help you eliminate those kind of things. Where to begin? And look, guys, I firmly believe that, for the majority of people out there, content creation you should be able to do this on your own. And I appreciate that you guys are busy, out there on the tools and doing these jobs. But, if you're trying to get, results with your online, then it does involve contribution from you folks. And I mean, look, we have a service at Trading Web Guides where we help people, creating their case studies and optimizing optimizing content for their website. But even in that scenario, we still ask for certain things from the client. So if you are serious about moving down that path, then you've also got to be serious about the reality of the fact that you are going to need to contribute on some level to this content. They do need an SEO specialist, will need your information regarding the projects or the services, or how the jobs unfold and all this kind of stuff. So don't think it's like you can wave a magic wand and it gets done for you. I mean, in some cases it may, but I can tell you now, it will certainly cost you significantly more to have it done that way. And the reality is, if we can just empower you guys to understand the basics and how you can do this stuff yourself, then it puts you in a position where, sure, you can go and do it yourself, or you can get somebody else to do it. But the difference there being is that you're getting them to do something based off what you kind of have an understanding of, So, if you know how to do something and you can say, okay, this is what I want done, then people can go and do that. And you're not going to get fleeced because you've basically given them clear instructions on it. So when we talk about creating content and where to begin, so there's a number of ways you can do it, but the bottom line is that you do start doing it. And I would say first things first, it's really important to get a strategy. And so the difference between creating content on a strategy and then just, going out there and creating content is that you're not doing things ad hoc and you are sort of planning it a little bit. A great idea for creating content for, you guys out there on the tools, your tradies, contractors, start talking about projects that you've done and take your customers or take your potential readers on a journey. Like talk about, I suppose, the brief of the job, talk about some problems that you overcame, talk about some obstacles, talk about, a bit of the approach or things that popped up along the way that you had to navigate around, talk about, the customer's experience, were they happy, talk about the final result, talk about things that you might have done differently if you had to go back and do it again, like all these little things, and just basically tell a story of that project, because you've got people out there that are coming to you guys because they're potentially wanting to engage you for services. So if you've got a really cool process around, I suppose, talking about jobs that you've done in the past, and then you've got tools that you can share with them which talk about that case study, then it's really good social proof and it will serve you really well. We do this with a lot of our customers and they get amazing results from it just because people are going to them because they're after information. And then all of a sudden, you guys can turn around and say, well, yeah, here's a whole bunch of information. Here's a whole bunch of relevant information and case studies that we've collated over the years about things that you're talking to us about. So it just makes sense. Once you've created the content, get it on your website, and it could be in the form of a blog, a case study. It could be a number of things. It could be content pages, whatever. But get it on your website, and then once you've got it on the website, you can then share that content or syndicate, as we say. And you could share it to your social media channels. You could send it out in a newsletter. You could do a number of things, but the bottom line is what you're trying to achieve here, folks, is you're trying to drive people from all of these channels, get them back to your website, get them back to the place that you own and control, where they could, maybe see an offer that might appeal to them and they could go sign up for the offer, or they could, download an ebook or a PDF or whatever it might be. But you can do all that stuff if it's on your website. If it's not on your website, well, you can't really do it. So don't be afraid to learn the basics. And if you want to learn more about the basics, guys, you head across to the community and become part of it. It's free. I mean, we put this on there as a value add for you guys because we want to teach you these fundamentals. Go to facebook.com/groups/the Site Shed. You'll find us, or you can just search the Site Shed in Facebook and you will pop up. There's a page and there's a private group. We'd love to see you in there. And then if you want to work with people, just work with people that understand your niche and people that understand your industry and your vertical, because that will serve you very well. But look, that's all I wanted to say, folks. I really look forward to seeing you in the community. If you're not already in there, you can head across to thesiteshed.com and you can join the community through our Toolbox Talks. That's like basically a curated email which comes out of relevant content throughout the week. So it might be conversations that have been happening within the group, or it could be podcast summaries, or it could be events, or it could be any one of a number of things. Anyway, head across there, thesiteshed.com. You can see the links to all that stuff on the homepage. And otherwise, folks, if you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you hear or wherever you consume your podcasting media. That would be very helpful, as it does help us climb the rankings. All right, that's all for me. Hope you enjoyed. I look forward to seeing you in the community, and that's all for now. Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to the siteshed.com, where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from the show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.